Okay, so today I'm going to be doing another reading of this old news. So I've had a good amount of requests. It seems to be a type of video that people enjoyed. So I've been planning to do another video like this. And I was trying to think of some different, maybe famous events or certain things that I could look for. You may have seen I had read before about the sinking of the Titanic, and I read about, I found some articles from after it happened, so that was pretty interesting. And I think I had asked if anyone had any ideas for different events, and I'm pretty sure someone had suggested the Salem witch trials, which I thought was a really good idea, and that I could do it around Halloween. So that's what I was planning to read about this time, but I ended up finding something else to read about. So I have just printed out one page. I have my magnifying glass. Okay, the light. Hopefully that's not too bright. I'm going to light this candle. This is called Valiant. It's a soy candle. So I'll light that. But I first just quickly wanted to show how I came to find the topic that I'll be reading about today. Alright, so here you can see is the Library of Congress website. The Library of Congress website here. And if we come here to the digital collections, there's a lot of interesting things to look at. There's a lot of videos I'd like to make with these things, but so I come here to this collection. It's called Chronicling America, Historic American Newspapers. And these have different newspapers. It looks like from 1789 through 1963, and you can look at different areas or different topics. So the Salem witch trials happened in the late 1600s, and here you can see, you can look for articles from around that time. But I forget what happened where I was having a little bit of trouble finding what I wanted to find. So I think, so this is what happened. I came back here to the digital collections and where is it? I found something that had to do with Halloween. Maybe it's on the home page. Let's see. Trending. Here it is. It's right on the home page. Free to use and reuse Autumn and Halloween. These are copyright-free pictures from, let's see, you'll see images related to Halloween and Dia de Muertos, the harvesting of crops, and leaves changing colors across the United States, and other portrayals of the autumn season from the 1870s to the present day. So then I started looking at that because I thought that was really cool. See all these old pictures? I still thought, see, this is from the 1930s. This is a poster from 1907. So then I started thinking these would be good for a video. This picture here is from 1889. But then I saw this here about Houdini, and I thought, why don't I try and read about Houdini? So what I did was I just Googled Harry Houdini because I just thought I wanted to see what years he was alive, and then I could look up some newspaper articles from around that time. And as I was reading this Wikipedia, I noticed that he was born March 24th, 1874, and he died on October 31st, 1926. He died on Halloween Day. So I thought, well, that's meant to be. I'm going to read about Harry Houdini, and I thought I would look up the day, some article about him dying. So here is the article I found. I'm sure there are plenty more, but I printed out this one. So I'm going to close this now. And I will light the candle. I will light the candle. I think this light makes it harder to see. So this newspaper is the Indianapolis Times, and it is dated November 1st, 1926. So that is the day after Houdini died. So I'm just going to read about that, and maybe if there's time, look at the rest of the page. So I'm going to light the candle. So I thought that was also fitting that I had this candle called Valiant. So let's start. Okay. I'm sorry if this is not clear for you to see the words, but it says, Houdini, famous handcuff king magician, dies. Body to be taken to New York. Apple pies started him on career. Let's see, I'm going to have to bring this a little closer to myself to see it. It says Detroit. Okay, in a bronze airtight coffin. I need to move this. Okay, it says in a bronze airtight coffin recently constructed for one of his myriad tricks, the body of the body of Harry Houdini, America's greatest magician, will leave here tonight for New York. The handcuff king, world known, died here Sunday afternoon, a little more than a week after he became ill with appendicitis, from which he developed peritonitis. He was 52 years old. Let's see here. So it's hard to read. Until the end, Houdini believed he would get out of this the way I get out of everything else. Okay, it says he was a minister's son. Harry Houdini was born at Appleton, Wisconsin as Eric Weiss, son of a pastor. Fondness for apple pies started him on his career as a magician. His mother was one of the best cooks in Appleton. On baking days, she would lock her delicacies in a cupboard. To get at the pies, Eric picked the locks. When Eric witnessed a magician act at a circus. By accident, he saw through one of the tricks, and from then on, there was no magical Santa Claus for Harry. He started when only 8. At the age of 8, young Houdini joined a traveling circus and became known as Eric, Prince of the Air. He was a contortionist, wire walker, acrobat, and sleight of hand performer. One of his tricks was to bend backward and pick up a needle in the skin of his eyes. Later, he allowed himself to be bound hand and foot and then would free himself from a cabinet. One night in Coffeyville, Kansas, a sheriff, while tying him up, suddenly snapped a pair of handcuffs on his wrists. It was the first pair of handcuffs Houdini had ever seen. But he freed himself in 11 minutes. From then on, it was as a handcuff expert that Houdini was known. He toured this country and Europe. Let's see, some of his stunts are listed here. Here are some of his stunts. He broke out of the dread Siberian prison van in Moscow. He leaped, heavily handcuffed, from a Detroit bridge into icy waters and released himself. He jumped into San Francisco Bay with more than 75 pounds of ball and chain locked to his body and his hands cuffed behind his back. He escaped from a plate glass box in Boston and did not scratch the box. He emerged smilingly from the murderer's cell in the United States jail at Washington, which confined, I don't know how to say this name, Guteau, assassin of President Garfield. He escaped from a packing box to which was attached 200 pounds of iron weights in New York Bay. His most famous tricks. Let's see, this writing is so small. Alright, his most famous tricks. 2 of his stage mysteries never have been explained. In one, Houdini apparently swallowed 100 needles and 20 yards of thread and brought up the needles, neatly threaded from his mouth. In the other, he caused a 5-ton elephant apparently to vanish in the full glare of a spotlight. Of late years, Houdini became interested in alleged spirit manifestations and set out to prove that mediums and their wares were faked. He offered a standing reward of $10,000 to any medium who could produce a phenomenon that he could not produce naturally if he watched it 3 times. This reward was never claimed. It looks like that's all it says about Houdini. Well, I'm sure there's plenty more in other newspapers. But let's see, there's other things we can look at here. Here we have, let's see, a shoe ad. This is a shoe for new Oxfords for $3.95 a pair. They have black, brown, and tan. Priced low. Is that Marriott's Shoe Shop? And that was on 18 and 20 East Washington Street in Indianapolis, I guess. And there's lots of ads for Vicks in all of these old newspapers. Invalid chairs for rent. Let's see. Crowds, crowds, crowds. Gigantic removal sale. We're going to move downtown. Everything must go. Silk dresses. One large lot. Ladies lovely. Silk dresses for $4.95. Smartest styles, latest colors. That one says smartest styles, latest colors. Stunning creations, save exactly 1/2 of what you intended to pay. Make your own terms. Okay, and they have coats, ladies' fur trimmed coats for $9.95. I guess that's what it looks like. O coats. One lot of men's and young men's wool O coats. And that was People's Friend Clothing Company, West Washington Street. Raincoats. This guy was the Republican candidate for county treasurer, Clyde E. Robinson, trained as a banker and in finance. I'm going to move this candle here. Let's see, let's read about Clyde Robinson. Trained as a banker and in finance. A pledge to Marion County voters. If elected to the office of Marion County Treasurer, I pledge myself to consider Barrett Law Funds as trust funds and account for all interest, to honestly and sincerely aid in solving the Barrett law problem in the best possible way, and to administer the treasurer's office generally for the greatest benefit to the people of Marion County. Signed, Clyde E. Robinson. So, I think maybe I can find another something to read here. Alright, so I hope this isn't too weird. I kind of thought of a little weird idea. I was thinking about this little entry here about this man running for the county treasurer of Marion County, and I just thought, well, I wonder if he did become the treasurer. So I looked up his name, Clyde E. Robinson, Marion County, Indianapolis, treasurer, and I did find, I found this obituary here. Hope it's not too strange that I looked this up. And it looks like he did become the treasurer. Clyde E. Robinson, former banker, dies. And this is from December 25th, I think, 1962. So he was 66 years old when he died. Maybe this wasn't, let's see. So does that make sense? This was in 1962. He would have been born, 1800s, is that right? That sounds so long ago. So let's see. Former Marion County treasurer and banking executive died yesterday in his home in Martinsville. A Republican, he had been the Marion County treasurer from 1928 through 1931, so just a few years. He retired in 1953 as international harvester dealer at Westport. Harvester dealer. I don't know what that is. He was a native of Westport and lived in Indianapolis for 43 years. He started in banking as a messenger, and he became the president of the Marion County State Bank in 1922 and served until 1927. And there's a lot about him here. He was a part of a lot of different organizations. The Elks Lodge, that's still around today. A lot of things having to do with banking. Vice President of the State Bank Section of the American Bankers Association. Survivors include his widow and his mother. He died pretty young at 66, I would say. So, I don't know why I wanted to look that up, but so now we'll move on to the next page here. So I did find another newspaper that I'd like to read a little bit of, so let me set that up. Okay, so here I have another newspaper. I was looking for just something else about Houdini. And so I have this here. This is from the Key West citizen. And this is from some years later, Monday, May 15th, 1933. So, let's see. And I found this little article right here. It says, Silence of the Grave. So this would have been, 7 years later, I think. And it says, before Harry Houdini died, that greatest of magicians agreed with his wife that he would try to communicate with her from the spirit world, although he had long scoffed at spiritualism. After his death in 1926, his widow watched and waited for a message. Finally, Mrs. Houdini confessed that she had abandoned hope of ever having communication from beyond the grave, and said, the silence is impenetrable. There is only a void. The Society of Psychical Research refuses to accept as authentic any of the many reported messages from the other world. After 48 years of painstaking investigation of thousands of alleged communications through mediums and relatives of deceased persons, the Society has not found a single one which has stood the test of scientific examination. Yet many sincere persons believe that they have had such communications, and no one could convince them to the contrary. Let's see. Does that say 80? No. So strong is the power of belief and imagination. Okay. So that was the only thing about Houdini in here. It's interesting to find this from Key West. A new era of prosperity is ahead of you. Take a vacation now. Come to Miami, the millionaire's playground. Hotel Leamington. Let's see, spend your vacation in Florida. Today's weather, let's see, the highest. The temperature on this day would reach 86 degrees and the lowest 79. And this one's pretty cool, a crossword puzzle. That would be interesting to try and do. Let's see. Number 1 across, Turkish cap. 4 across, a writing table. Well, I can't go through all of these now, but that would be cool to print those out and try to do that. Let's see. Today's horoscope. This would be for May 15th, if that's your birthday. In 1933. Let's see. This is a patient worker. Humble in spirit. Do not put too much trust in others, for there are indications of a loss thereby, or perhaps the path of life may be led into useless tracks. Therefore, while remembering the wants of others, do not forget that you need some things for yourself. It is a sacrificing degree. Okay. Let's see, this one here says, this little article here is titled His Fatal Mistake. This is the story of a prudent man as told by a Kansas newspaper. He brushed his teeth twice a day, wore rubbers in wet weather, did his daily dozen, slept with windows open, was careful with his diet, had a medical examination twice a year, never smoked, drank, or indulged in any kind of excesses. He was all set to live to be 100 years old. The funeral was held last Wednesday. He is survived by 18 specialists, 4 health institutes, 6 gymnasiums, and numerous manufacturers of health foods and antiseptics. He had forgotten to look out for a train at a grade crossing. Uh-oh. Let's see. They have today's anniversaries. Let's see. 1773, Prince von Metternich, Austrian statesman, born and died June 11th. Okay. Let's see, these are hard to read. Let's see. 1845, Eddie Metchnikoff. Is that what that says? I don't know. Eddie or Ellie. World famous Russian-French bacteriologist, was born. He died July 15th. Let's see, Frank Baum, author of The Wizard of Oz and other children's stories, born in New York, died in Los Angeles, 1919. So I guess these are their birthdays, May 15th. Okay, also Pierre Curie, French, this is French psychist. I don't know if that's misspelled. Joint discoverer with his wife of radium, born and died in 1905. Or 1906. So then there's today's birthdays. I don't know what that is. Anniversaries and birthdays. Well, I guess that's all I'll read today. I really just wanted to read about Harry Houdini. But next time I will do a little more. I'll try and find something else to read about, but I hope you enjoyed, and happy Halloween.